Welcome back, everybody, to the complete beginner's course for ICT students. Today, we're going to go over SMT, how to utilize it within your own trading. Last we left off was going over premium and discount, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let's move into the first slide here. Introduction to SMT divergence. What is SMT? SMT, otherwise known as smart money tool / smart money technique, is a concept taught by ICT that measures other indexes' strengths and weaknesses. It is a divergence between asset classes by comparing relative highs and lows, and will be giving you insight to whether your asset class is diverging. So what that means is it's a confluence to a trade idea that you're already preconceiving. So if you already believe that price is going higher or lower, smart money technique or SMT is going to confirm that idea to you. What do I compare to CSMT? So for the 3 index futures, you're going to be comparing YM, which is Dow Jones, NQ, which is NASDAQ, and ES, which is S&P 500. You use them together to compare relative highs and lows. Example, if I'm trading NQ, NASDAQ, I will be comparing YM and ES, their relative highs and lows, and it will give me insight to whether price is diverging, bullish / bearish. So in the next slides here, you're going to see a chart, visual representation of what it looks like. How do I utilize this information? You can utilize this information for analyzing the market's overall strength or weaknesses. You can also use it as a confluence to your trade idea. So introduction to SMT divergence. Now, on TradingView, you can set your chart up to look like this, where you can compare all of these asset classes together. I do recommend it. I'm sure you can go on YouTube and find out how to do it. It's relatively easy. But in order to see SMT divergence, you need to be looking at all 3 together to see their highs and lows, and you're comparing each one of them. So for a bearish SMT, there's a formula per se that will let you know whether a market is cracking its correlation. So what that means is they're no longer in sync with each other, and it's letting you know that price is diverging to weakness or into strength. So for bearish, if you're looking for lower prices, this would be the formula that you're looking for. So you're comparing the highs for bearish SMT. The asset class that is failing to make the higher high or making the higher high will be the weakest. But overall, all of them will be weak. The odd one out of the 3, that one will typically be the weakest out of them. It doesn't mean you have to trade that particular asset class, but one of them will be the weakest, and one of them is always going to be being the odd one out. So let's say, for an example, on the left side here, we have 2 higher highs being made and 1 lower high. So what that is telling you is, let's say down here is YM, in the middle is NQ, and the top is ES. If you have your chart set up like this, what you're doing is you're comparing these highs. So let's say I'm already looking for lower prices on the day, and I see some type of correlation where ES is making a higher high, NQ is making a higher high, and Dow Jones fails to make that higher high, and it starts to trade off lower, NQ starts to trade off lower, and ES starts to trade off lower. I don't have that annotation here, but if they started to trade off lower, that's a bearish SMT divergence. So 2 indexes are making new highs while one asset class is failing to make that higher high. So it's a failure swing. It's a divergence between them, right? So it's tipping its hat to you that, okay, price is diverging. More than likely, YM will be the weakest. It's never going to always be YM. It could be NQ that is failing to make that higher high, and YM and ES are both making the higher highs. And then again, you could have ES failing to make the higher high, and you could have these 2 making the lower highs. So if you look on the right side of the curve over here, this is another bearish SMT formula. So there's only 2 of them that are going to play out. And I know this may be a little bit confusing for some newer students, but I promise you, if you practice this and you pay attention to it, it's really, really useful. If you have to come back at a later point to revisit this video, that's perfectly fine. I didn't understand this at first, but I know this is extremely useful when you start getting into trading and you get into these concepts. It's extremely useful. So on the right side, this is the second formula. There's only two of them. Again, all of these, it doesn't have to be in this exact order. They can all be in different lineups, but on one side, you're going to have two higher highs being made and one lower high. And then on the second formula, there could be two lower highs being printed and one higher high being printed. So you could have one asset class that's making a higher high while two are making lower highs. So if I'm already bearish on the day, I'm already looking for lower prices, and then I see this happen, that's an extra confirmation to me. It's an extra confluence. So in here, we could have ES making a higher high. We could have NQ making a lower high and YM making a lower high. All of them will be weak, but the odd one out will probably be the weakest out of all of them. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to trade that one that is the weakest, but it is a good confluence if it is the weakest, because that's going to give you the best trade probably. So make sure you study this. I'm going to give more examples, so bear with me here. Introduction to the bullish SMT formula. You are comparing the lows. So for bullish, you're comparing the lows. For bearish, you're comparing the highs. So for bullish, you're comparing the lows. The asset class failing to make the lower low will be the strongest, or the second formula, the one that's making the lower low will be the strongest. Overall, all of them will be bullish, but one of them will be the strongest. It's the odd one out. So the left side here, bullish SMT formula, two indexes making lower lows and one asset class making a higher high. So let's say here we have ES making a higher low, we have NQ making a lower low, and we have YM making a lower low. So you see how two of them are doing the same thing, and one of them is the odd one out. This one is typically going to be the strongest out of all of them. On the right side, this is the second formula. Two indexes making higher lows, while one asset class is making a lower low. So you have, let's say ES is making a higher low, you have NQ making a higher low, and then you have YM making a lower low. This one would be the strongest because it's the odd one out. So you're comparing the lows, and there's only two formulas for each of them. There's nothing else. Again, the lineup can be different. These could be all switched around. It doesn't matter which one is doing whatever. It's going to just comparing the lows, and this is the exact formula. So hopefully this is making sense in terms of if I'm already bullish on the day, if I'm already looking for higher prices, and I see this happening, it's confirming to me and letting me know, hey, this is probably going to be really bullish today. And this is confirming the trade idea I was already preconceiving. So here's a real chart example. You can see ES to the left, NQ in the middle, and YM to the right. So you see how if I was already looking for lower prices on the day, and I see ES failing to get above this high here. So I'm comparing this high and this high. Do you see how they're all in the exact same place? So you see ES is failing to get above that high. You see NQ failing to get above this high. And then you see YM is higher than this high here, right? This one, this high, got above that high. Look at this. Did NQ get above it? No. Did ES get above it? No. So that's two of them doing the same thing, and one of them is the odd one out. This one is going to be the weakest out of them because it's the odd one out. Here's another example. So that was the first formula. This is the first formula for bearish SMT, where you have two lower highs being printed and one higher high. This is the second formula for bearish SMT divergence, where you have two higher highs being printed and one lower high being printed. So you see how ES, this is not a real chart example, but I was making a demonstration. You have higher high being made, and look at, so we're comparing this high right here. So this high here, this high, and this high here. See how YM failed to get above that? This one is going to be the weakest. All of them will be weak, so you can trade any one of them, but you have to know that this one will be the weakest. So if I was already looking for lower prices on the day, and I see this happen, it's an extra added confluence to my trade idea. And I'll show you how to utilize it within your own your own trading. Introduction to bullish S&T divergence. So this is the first formula, 2 lower lows plus 1 higher low. So we have ES, NQ, and YM. We're comparing this low in here. So where this low is, we're comparing right here, we're comparing right here. So we can see ES is failing to make a lower low in here. It's making a higher low. On NQ, it's making a lower low, and on YM, it's making a lower low as well. So this odd one out is going to be the strongest, but all of them will be in strength. They will be going higher, but this one will be the strongest. So you're comparing the lows, and again, you could switch the lineup. You could have NQ making the higher low, ES making a lower low, and YM making a lower low. It does not matter the lineup. It just, you're comparing the lows and seeing which one is the odd one out, and if it's giving you that bullish S&T formula. So that's the first one. This is the second formula. We have ES on the left, NQ, YM. So we have ES making a higher low. We have NQ making a higher low. And then we have YM making a lower low in here. So if you go back to this one, 2 lower lows, 2 higher lows. So you see how it's flipping, right? So this one here is making a lower low. This one will be the strongest. All of them overall will be moving in strength, but this one will be the strongest. So the main emphasis of this video is to look at the lows and the highs and compare them and to find the odd one out. Does not mean you have to trade that one, but it's letting you know if you're already preconceiving a trade idea that price should be moving higher that day or lower. This is giving you that confluence. It's like, okay, cool. It's just an added extra, cushion to your trade idea per se. And that's really it for the video. I don't want to overcomplicate it for all of you. Again, if you're, if it's going over your head and it seems a little bit too confusing, I completely understand. But as you move forward with these concepts and with your education and your learning, go back to this video because it's something that I personally use every single day in my trading. I hesitated on even putting this in the series, but I know how useful this is, especially when you start to get into later portions of your career. It's extremely useful. So if you have to go back into your notes, journal it, see how it works. And I hope it was helpful to all of you. I'll show you how to put it together. That's what the next video is going to be. It's putting everything I've talked about so far in this series. I'm going to put it all together in the next video. So I'll catch you guys in the next video here.